Okay, we're recording. So, welcome to another episode of The Geeky Nomad. I'm Yasser Masood.
And a very good morning from Doha. And this is Gazat Farla Khan, the other Khan on the Geeky Nomads. And as you can see, where I am, where I am, where I am. There you go. I am at the second edition of the Web Summit Qatar, at the same place where the Geeky Nomads took birth with our very first podcast. And we're happy to come back and dream on with season two continuing over here.
So, yeah, so like it's coming full circle, and I think it's good that we're actually doing this. It's 1 a.m. my time, and I actually was planning to fly out, but circumstances. So Khan's been actually on site, and he's got a lot of the interesting, juicy tidbits, having seen everything happen on the ground as well. So, Khan, you want to take the show?
Oh yes, I think we can start off with we split across everything that's been happening here. Today is the third day of the Web Summit. Technically the fourth because the very first day is just the opening night. Then follows every day with speeches, center stage action with interesting personalities such as Eduardo, the co-founder of Facebook, Will Smith, Jay Shetty, and a lot of other interesting personalities. And today we're on the third day, the closing day of the summit itself. And it's nevertheless interesting day as well for me. If you have been following me on Instagram, you must have looked at the schedule that I've been posting every day. It's like running from one session to other session just to try and understand what new tech is coming into the industry or into this region as well. Just to give you a quick overview of what's happening at the summit and how it's different than its initial version. So far, we have had over 25,000, so 25,747 attendees or tickets sold who are attending the summit. This is almost close to double the number because we had about 15,000 plus attendees at the previous version. Around this year, we have people coming from 124 countries, so you can see how diverse the summit has become, only in its second version. And to give you context, I remember last year, our media village was towards the end, where I am today
Yeah.
in the media village. And this year, that media village had to move to a different location, cut down in a size to a little bit. And the whole food summit that was inside across the media village had to go outside the exhibition center because they needed to use the full exhibition floor to accommodate the more amount of startups companies that are coming here to present. So with that amount of uh, people startups coming up, there are about 1,520 startups and about 723 investors who are attending the summit. There are about, I think, 168 partners, which is also quite more than what we had over the last year. Quite of our repeat customers, I would say, including Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Snap, and TikTok. They have been here last year. They made some announcements last year, and they have made some announcements this year as well, which we will dwell in as we go in. We have about 381 speakers. That was the last confirmed list I've seen. And the biggest, the most interesting fact that I learned was that there was a 47% of the startups that are here are founded by women. So, as Web Summit across all the versions they do in Rio, in Lisbon, and Vancouver, they always had women in tech section where even people, women who are interested to attend these sessions or to be part of that, they get discounted tickets. So I highly encourage women who are interested in the sector to utilize of that benefit. Was a 47% share of women startups at this summit, which went up more than 50% over the last year. Can you imagine that? That is crazy. And even I think among the attendees, the percentage of women attendees also went up. It was 37% of attendees who are females attending this session. So overall, if you look at it, it's just been very crazy. The hot topic or a general term that has been used excessively, in my opinion, has been AI. You turn to left, you turn to right, you turn up, you turn down. There is AI everywhere. Uh, I think it's been, in my opinion, it's overdone too much. Where everyone went from ML AI, machine learning, to generative AI. So yeah, they have evolved a little bit, trying to get in line with everything else happening in the industry, but it's still, uh, for me, contextually, it's a bit too much. I'm sure there's other technological advancements that everyone can bring, not just AI. That in mind, AI was the startup sector last year, and is the biggest startup sector this year, mainly focusing on SaaS, healthcare and wellness, fintech and education. But I've seen a lot of startups from this year. It's a bit different. I have seen startup innovation partners, as we have, Invest Qatar or QDB, who help invest into the local entrepreneurship sectors. This year I've seen there's the government of Lisbon, there's the government of Germany, who are presenting their startup innovation hubs here itself, attracting talent to come to those countries and invest as well. But yeah, that is, to sum up what Web Summit Qatar is.
I want to sort of break it down because I actually managed to see the live stream of the opening night, and I've immediately noticed that significant differences compared to last year. I mean, you remember where they had like five featured startups on stage?
And
I was
if
like,
you remember, sorry to cut you, Yasser, if you remember, one of them was Scale AI. They were one of the ones who were on, if I'm not mistaken, or they were at the Web Summit Qatar last year. And can you guess how much investment they have received since their appearance at Web Summit Qatar last year? Take a wild guess.
please tell me it's at least a billion.
1.3 billion. So they were top three. The prime minister was speaking about this in his speech. So, it was that significant that these startups or the innovation companies had so much investment since the appearance at Web Summit Qatar. So it has not only helped the government locally, but also those individuals. And the CEO of Skill AI is just 26 years old or 25 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's quite young, and he's got a long way ahead of him, or possibly an early retirement.
Yeah, I mean, they had two sort of keynotes. I mean, they had the guy from Scale AI, Alexander, and then they had Alexis Ohanian, and I was like, okay, so he came in and at least spoke about sports and everything. I'm guessing there was a good amount of sports tech or marketing investment.
Yeah, I was a bit confused with his talk, because I was looking at where is the tech in that. I am completely on board with him that women's sport has come a way. The investments are happening. The transfer fees that were non-existent at some point of time in the game are coming along, where agents are highly getting involved. I think his focus was on how he's taking that industry into the digital form and transforming into either monetizing it or becoming more educational, because uh, he also produces a Netflix series called the Off Season or Off Block Season, where it's like, the big boss, where you get people into the house, athletes during the off season, and they create drama. But there was one interesting thing that he said towards the end of his talk was, where are we going with this tech? Is he gave a reference of Wall-E, like where in the Wall-E movie, there are humans on floating chairs walking around with their device stuck in front of their eyes, where everything is focused on them. So he was contextualizing towards that. But tech-wise, I could not find any tech in his talk at all, or any of the opening night talks in that context.
Okay, so, I mean, it's when you mentioned 25,000 plus, that's like at least 60% compared to last year, and having them move out the food summit. venue outdoors. I mean, the weather is nice at this time of the year, so it makes good sense for it makes good sense. So it's more outdoorsy and everything, and shrinking the media village.
Um, I wouldn't say shrink to that extent, but I do see more tables to sit. When I say shrink, last year, remember they had a press room connected to the media village, completely like separate. You have to go through a door. Now it sits kind of openly, and they have one another press room section that sits in the what do you call it, the speaker lounge. So I think when they have high level press the conference, they happen in that section of the
I noticed I can hear birds chirping. There's birds flying around there, or
yeah,
they
yeah.
just put.
This is there's literally birds over my head somewhere there.
That's why I was like, I could hear so many birds chirping as such, and I was like, huh. Well, I guess it's just to bring it with the nature.
Getting close to what we are. Yeah.
You know, I want to ask one thing. I mean, I know you've probably walked around the entire show floor and everything, and I could see from I think some of the videos and all that, some of the returnees like Snap and TikTok. I think TikTok did a revamp for their booth because it looks like almost like because I remember last year it was like a whole tower, and now I think it was like a nicely flat spread out. So I think they had more area
I
to
think
showcase their offering.
yeah, they do have a in my opinion a similar kind of both Snap and TikTok. They just changed around, presenting exactly the same things they had last year. Snap was still focusing on their lens and utilizing how you can work your content around the filters and available tools they have. Nothing new. Same with the TikTok. They were focused on. This is one thing good about TikTok. They were focused on the local market, like what's working in the local market, the trending topics, the trending people. So they have videos of Qatar Airways, they have videos of Anas Triple F Qatar. They had videos of other local Arabic content creators as well who would absorb the Arabic content in their high numbers and compared to English content. Uh, People utilizing TikTok to be, a quick way of getting people to listen to podcasts because nowadays podcasts have become very video. I'll come to that. I had a very interesting discussion with iHeart podcasts about it, and people quite keen on they were
And I
doing
want to touch upon them as well a bit, but I think we'll say that a bit later. Yeah, I
sure.
mean, so I mean, it looks like. So I mean, I'm guessing, of course, after the opening night, the first day, as usual, is like a chaos.
Oh, first day was chaos. Getting in was a challenge for everyone because now the whole exhibition space is purely for exhibition. So they had to open up different entrances for people to enter. They not just using the entrance that you were standing last time. Remember, currently that was only used for like media, and on the back side of the ECC is where they had entrance 2 and 3, and then the night summit, the very first night summit was that usually at the ECC itself this year. So they hadn't set it up anywhere else. So in that context, it was very challenging for everyone to get in. They did expand the center stage slightly comparing to previous year for more seating, but it was filled very quickly, unfortunately. So many people had to watch it from the night summit at the east.
Well, okay, so I guess the center stage got some upgrades. I mean, I'm guessing they know which talks at least would probably fill up the entire space, and they've planned it accordingly. Like I know, like I think I saw that Will Smith and Jay
Oh,
Shetty spoke at the center stage itself.
yeah, they spoke. So it became center stage this year was more like fireside chat as compared to what was last year. Than being not like I've seen like Paramount and other companies this year who were presenting their products, including Snap, their AR glasses, which unfortunately did not connect to the Wi-Fi here. That was a bummer.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, Keepan was like, his spectacles demo was like, okay, didn't work out.
Tech Summit, how bad can it go? Uh, it did go bad. Even like, I'm sorry, but like the mobile data is bloody crap here. The Wi-Fi is very given that you have, X amount of more people attending, these things should have been looked into. That's why anything I need to do, I come back to the media village. That because the media Wi-Fi is very much restricted to people in this area only. That's one thing. Is like if you go away from this area, you really can't get the media Wi-Fi. But if you're around the Uridu booth, they have done a very smart thing. They installed a Starlink in their booth just to showcase the technology and the offerings because I think it will be offered through Uridu. So if you're around their area, you can actually catch the Starlink Wi-Fi and it at pretty good speeds compared to other networks in the country.
Wow. So let's dive into the whole podcast thing. And
Yes.
you remember in the previous, no, the one before episode where at least when iHeartMedia announced the partnerships, and I knew that there was going to be something bigger planned. And they officially announced it that they've signed a partnership with the Government Communications Office.
Yes, it was I think yesterday because they had another session in the afternoon yesterday with Malcolm Gladwell and Jay Shetty. So these were the leading podcast talents that they have with even David Eagleman, who were on the center stage talking about the iHeart podcaster creator studio, similar to what Snap and TikTok have been talking about creator studios in the country. I think iHeartMedia has gone on the same lines with GCO to have a creator studio set up in the country. I don't know when that's happening. I couldn't hear on any timelines on them, but they said sometime in the second quarter of this year, they would be able to see it. Most likely set up in the Media City. Yeah, because that's where they try to get everyone. And I think once all these partnerships do come along with GCO, it will be more beneficial for the country because very surprisingly, I was very surprised myself to find an amount of podcasts that are published in the country. Video, audio based doesn't matter, but they are podcasts and is becoming a growing trend. But the thing is, there are two verticals to a podcast. You and me sitting and just talking. There's still a podcast. Ask other person questions, they answer, you continue the conversations, fish on a hook situation, try to get something out of them. That is one version of it. Then there are podcasts which focus on specific topics, specific genres. Something like us, we are focusing on technology and stuff. There are people who are focusing on cinema, the people who focus on cars, the people in the automobile industry, people on fashion, makeup industry, etc. So that is also an ongoing thing. But I was very surprised to see the majority of the podcasts consumed in the country are Arabic based as compared to English based.
Yeah, I mean, it means the region for sure and all, but at the same time, as much as Arabic, there's always going to be demand for digital Arabic content and all. I mean, for us as expats, we sort of have to sort of be the bridge because, we've lived and worked in the region, and at least we have seen how things have grown and evolved and changed. And as for me, comparing to having gone to so many of the other international tech events, it's like, well, people are now keeping their eyes and ears open on the MENA region. But at least iHeartMedia's partnership with the GCO now beyond just Web Summit and them setting up a podcast studio, especially in Media City, Qatar, I think that's a very smart move because that now it joins CNN because they're opening up a studio here as well,
Yeah,
uh, alongside what they're doing with in Abu Dhabi. But this is going to be more CNN Business International, I believe, as such. But still,
CNBC.
I mean, the fact is that, yeah, no, CNN, not CNBC, it's CNN actually.
CNBC already has a presence in the country because they were also quite in overall the place this year.
Okay, well, that's news. That's news for me. I mean, that's good to know. But the other thing is, when you mentioned Snap and all that. So I heard that okay, Snap opened up their offices before the World Cup and everything, and when we talked about it in the previous episode, they opened up they also opened up the Snap Majlis in Saudi where Evan Spiegel came. And just at the Web Summit, they apparently now announced that they've partnered up with the GCO to create the Augmented Reality Academy
Yes,
for all the AR lenses as such.
that was a MOU that was, I think, signed yesterday, where I think GCO, they launched the first, they said it was, yeah, they said it's the first augmented reality AR academy in the MENA region. It's good, so it doesn't look like it's coming off, already being existed somewhere in the region, and we're getting a substitute version of it. It will be the first. The GCO was speaking about it yesterday, like how such of a vital role it plays in the industry, in the community, and it's good for the region. So hopefully, because I'm sure, remember we talked about it in the last episode, about how Qatar is also focusing on AI ML version for Arabic uh, language, and how they want it
Yeah.
also to be, recognized not just as an individual platform for generic web-based use, but other entities, institutions, Snap, TikTok, Facebook, Meta, anyone else can adapt to it and utilize it in their own way of doing things.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see at least all these things materializing. But I also feel at the same time is that this is all in response to what Dubai did with Creators HQ. So Qatar is now trying to at least beef up on certain niche specialized things just to still make it worthwhile.
I don't think so. I don't think that is the case here. Uh, Even when I spoke to someone at Snap yesterday. The YouTube also, they had a masterclass with someone from GCU, if I'm not mistaken. I need to look at my calendar. They were quite focusing on how you can build up your brand within the region, within the country itself. And now I haven't heard about anything coming from YouTube side for the country, but could be. We could see, the near future, them also supporting the content creators within the country to establish better ways of doing things, because everyone is monetizing. Currently, everyone is monetizing on TikTok and Instagram. So why not take that same experience?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, spring. I mean, you know, going back to what you said, you saw everyone talking about AI, this, that, and everything as such, and all. Did at least something on an AI level side stand out for you amongst whether it's startups or someone who's trying to explore something new?
I mean, I've seen at a startup level, yes, there were quite a few interesting ones I saw on day one. Day three just started, so I haven't gone around. And as you know, the alphas and betas, they change every day. However, the growth ones stay around. There are interesting observation. I think the same last year as well. They have the teamed up startups from countries in a specific area based on the genre of the albums, and they really have something similar across various countries. That I found three startups on the day one, where they all were focusing on the medicine industry, on how an app or a version of the app can help you determine the medication you're taking, reminders, or keeping in the effect of it, along with your that come up, so you can scan and throw it in there to see how you are tracking your, let's say, blood pressures, blood count, stuff like that. They all had similar idea, but doing it in different contexts. I don't know if it was an investor, how would you look at it? I can say misleading, but a bit open concept for any investor to adapt. Okay, I have three different countries presenting the same idea. What do you think would be make the most of it or the benefit from investing in those startups? Apart from that, last year I'd seen a lot of startups which were travel focused. There was very travel focused on giving you certain hands-on on travel industry, tracking your bags, tracking your flight prices, tracking your insurance claims, stuff like that. This year I haven't, but at least for the last 2 days, maybe there might be somewhere on today. I'll get to find out, and once I do, we can have that discussion in the next episode. But I'm hoping to see some more, a lot of blockchain related
Mm.
startups as well, quite a lot. So this is what I feel is different as compared to the previous summit. Previous summit was purely focusing on or was focused on showcasing or informing the general public the tech that is available for you to utilize. This year we all are aware about the tech. I think it could be the reason because 6 months into the leading into the summit, AI has been everywhere. Like, everyone bringing the new versions, ChatGPT having one, Gemini having one, DeepSeek coming in. There was quite a discussion about DeepSeek, even on center stage, and many occasions where both the speaker and the presenter were like, if you're looking for options to do things in Doha, do not ask DeepSeek. ChatGPT will give you better answers. So, you can see how far of a length people have gone to actually study the AI platforms and what information they offer. So as I said, like there is everywhere, but coming back to how this year I felt it's very conversational. Uh, Everyone's talking about tech. Everyone's talking about AI. Everyone's talking about how it is working and what it's doing, but no one is talking about what more can be done. So I think people are at the moment networking, connecting, but I think the outcomes would take time, couple more months, where people will go back and dwell on like, okay, I'm at the startup. It was in this industry, it did this and that. Let's see, let me take a shot and invest in it. That's at least my personal feeling. It could be different out there, but I felt this was something lacked a bit of technology, although everything around is tech based, but I just felt like I was a little wow.
You know how last year when QFC and all were announced that they had given people a chance to register their businesses for free in Qatar and everything. And I know this time QFC was like openly saying, "You have a Web Summit pass. Come and register your business for 4 years, no taxes and everything."
Actually, yeah, Invest Qatar, uh, that's one good thing Invest Qatar has done. They have brought in all these supportees of the entrepreneurial industry in Qatar, the Qatar Development Bank, Invest Qatar, Startup Qatar. They have a huge group called as the Startup Qatar Center Stage, where you go, you have an idea, you have a startup, register your company, or they can be, maybe we should register like Geeky Nomads, just get a registration done. Future might come useful someday. I will have a chat about today if that's something feasible that we can do while I'm here. But they are giving me the opportunity to do it. And that is a good starter. Like, for every fire, you need that spark. And that is the spark they're providing, saying, like, we are here to support. They're going to give you visas. They're going to give you a working course space. They're going to do introductions. They're going to help you network. They're going to provide you guidance, leadership trainings as required. So the ecosystem has changed from 5 years ago, from last year to this year as well. So it's fun.
I guess in it looks like, I mean, even though this year they decided to go for more people to attend Web Summit in Qatar. And I'm just trying to imagine if when they do it for next year, it's like I feel like DECC is not going to be able to handle more than the number of attendees they had to put in this year.
Actually, funny thing, yesterday I ran into Rachel Morris and Hillary from Maraba, and we just bought the exact question up like, okay, that's what happened this year. We got more than 25,000. Is it going to exceed next year? And then where would you go? And then, as you know, we only have two other options that we can go to take such a huge space. We either had to go to the Doha Exhibition Center next to Qatar, because it'll have connectivity. There's metro and everything, so it's ease of convenience for people to get there. Uh, Parking as well. Other next best option is QNCC, which kind of takes you out of the city. Definitely not in the middle of nowhere, but out of the city in terms of convenience wise. So everyone would have to drive there. It would be a bit of a walk because you have to go across to the QNL or the QF metro station. And you won't have services. Like I think DCC works perfect. I'm selling DCC here because you got city center right next to it. The people who wanna have lunch meetings, they can shop off to city center, have lunch and catch up with them. There are plenty of hotels around that they can arrange. Big corporations, they take people out for lunches and their business meetings. It's easy to just walk to one of these hotels and have those conversations. Metro is right across, Niche is right across. So I think DCC will stay, in my opinion, because I think it works as a venue, but it's just would be good to see what the numbers would be next year. So today, the last day of the summit, the final day, I think we have about 10 minutes. They say it's going to be one impactful day today. I believe they still have Jay Shetty still speaking today. There is Blake Chandley also is on the center stage today speaking with Stephen Mekin and Laura Chambers. I think Laura Chambers, yeah. Uh, yeah, good talks. Like the world's first professional running league and how tech is helping towards grooming intellectuals to become, essential supporting industry and the business it offers. Even there was, I think there's a session later in the day from West Tucker speaking on AI or AI in the new world. Just on that, something we are to enter session now. I what that was spoken by Shekhar Hedden, CEO of Qatar Foundation yesterday. When asked about how she sees the knowledge development going in and across, quoted I can't remember who it was. I think it was Imam Ghazal, a scholar, Islamic scholar, who talked about a man on a horse. So a man on a horse, when he's on a horse, riding the horse, he's in control of. He's not riding the horse. I may not be fully quoting, but I'm giving the context of it. So a man on a horse, when you're riding the horse, you're in control of it. You are in control of riding the horse. And that when you are being dragged by the horse, you're not in control of the horse. So the same contextual application to technology. When you're on board with the tech, its users, its misusers, privacy, benefits, disbenefits, you're in control of it. And when you let it run the system, when it lets it run, you have no control over it. This is where everyone sees the gaps in AI or privacy or innovation restriction. How far is it going to, or how much of a control would it have? That would be, yeah, that's something, it really stuck to me. And I've been using that quote. It's been running in my mind. And it just not just does not apply to technology only, but, things in general, things life. So let's see what the day three brings to us. And I have like so many voice notes
Yeah.
I've taken from all the sessions I've been to, some quotes, some points. I have a lot of recordings so that I've taken down. I'll drill down and we'll do a mini episode of this to actually wrap up the website. And maybe then announce towards the end of tomorrow all the datings that have happened. So we'll get to know also how beneficial it was.
Well, I don't want to hold you up on thing. I think we're gonna wrap. I think this is gonna be quite a very shorter episode compared to our other ones, since this is very Web Summit Qatar focused. I think it's good to see that you probably seeing your schedule, especially when you're posting on stories, and I was like, how are you gonna run from one place to another? But I think you somehow pulled it off. I'm guessing
I've
you must
missed
have
a few
clocked in your
yeah,
steps.
I've missed a few sessions. Actually, I'm not wearing my I was wearing my Apple Watch the first day, I got about 28,000 steps, which was a bit crazy. I'm literally walking up and down the whole DCC. You can imagine how long it is. So running up the masterclass are outside, stages are split across DCC. Every corner, same as last year. So I'm doing center stage, side stages. There is a marketing summit also this year. Oh, another good thing that this happened, this summit, which they bought, and I think they will be applying this to all the summits. As you know, every year now in Qatar summit is the first one. Then we get Vancouver, then you get Collision and Pulse, and then you get Lisbon towards the end of it. So this is the starter, and I think Patty, the CEO, he introduced it at your speech of Web Summit meetups, which was very interesting. So they have all themed meetups, like could be Canadians at the Web Summit, could be Women in Tech at the Tech Summit, could be for the Night Summit. We had Shisha meetups, we had like the G meetups, we had Egyptian food meetups. So this was quite interesting, and people were quite keen. And during the day, also they have meetups happening, but mainly for networking at the ECC as well. People sign up and suddenly you go thinking, there were like 50, 20 people, like it's packed, like 50, 60 people in the small area. So it's good to see people networking and in connections.
Mm. Well, Khan, I don't want to hold you up on it because I'm guessing the last day is going to be still chock.
I don't have so much on the calendar today, but I still have like about 7 sessions that I'll get through today. And I have a couple of meetings with a couple of startups and investors that I've tried to introduce to each other. Apart from that, went full third day for me before being back at work tomorrow. Looking forward to
Oh,
that.
yeah, like then on Monday, they shifted everything from Sunday to Wednesday rather than keeping it to Monday to Thursday. Otherwise, like Thursday, weekend, done. But yeah, no, well, you've clocked in your steps and everything, so that's probably good. You must have gotten you nice marathon every single day, running around. I think before we close, I just want to recap. I know when you said that, I know you told me this offline, but let's touch upon a little bit the influencers who at least will try to.
So there is quite a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot. I've seen people come in. Again, no, these are not taking any names, but these are people not from the tech industry who are seeing technology, acknowledging the innovations in technology. But I honestly don't know how a food blogger would understand. Like I've seen people, food bloggers, come to the summit and just talk about food. It's a tech summit. I'm sorry. I've had people many occasions over the last 2 days. They're like, so they ask, what is the best thing? Where can we go? Who has gifts? Who's giving bags? I'm like, I haven't clocked in one bag. I've literally, if you ask me, I've talked everyone at the summit, literally everyone at the summit. I just cannot carry something around for the whole day, holding in my hand while I'm running around, trying to meet people, introduce myself, learn about what they have to offer, maybe see if we can get them to talk to us or share with us what they're doing. Like my email, my personal email has been receiving the amount of emails from AI-based companies that I've shared my information with that are based in Dubai and the region. I get like 7, 8 emails every day. I'm yet to go through them to what they have, so possibly we can have an episode on that at a later stage. But yeah, I just found could also be something Web Summit can do is bring in creators. I wouldn't call it influencers, the creators, content creators from the industry. Could be like could focus on food. Fine, but is there something that they can talk about tech based that is food related? Could be agriculture institutions, etc. Can bring in people from fashion if there is an startup which is focused on fashion of could be AR on how to try the foundation or how electric shade looks on. This could be. There was a very nice startup I met yesterday, local based, which does transforms your art into virtual reality. They can either use VR glasses or just have a 360 view of it. This is for people who are unable to make it to art galleries. This is something that people can talk about. Like they literally take the art and convert it, and it looks like you are in an art gallery. Museums, those who want to transform artifacts for people to sit at home and enjoy, those that having to travel, miles to see something. But yeah, overall, I was not impressed by how some of them did act. Opinion, but yeah, but I think it's their choice, and I think it's their vision of how they see it. I cannot judge their personal opinion about it, but coming from my view of things and knowing the industry, knowing the influencer market, knowing the content creator market, uh, I think we can safely say that we are the OGs of it. Starting from when this social media actually started with we're using BlackBerry devices to tweet from our devices. We've come a long way to understand how
Yeah,
things work.
those days.
Industry might have changed. Yeah. Hopefully, everyone evolves and gets used to it. But yeah, and I think with that, we would like to thank everyone for listening in. Hopefully, you enjoyed this version of it, and we'll come back with a much more informed one at a later stage.
Well, thank you for watching and listening. This is the Web Summit Qatar 2025 special. Don't forget to subscribe and share this around, and we'll have a poll attached to this episode, so do respond to it. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, and goodbye, and good morning, Amdor. See you in the next one. Bye bye.